Welcome to the Alex Jones Show. I've got Alex in the studio with me. I'm David Knight filling in the rest of the show. But Alex is joining us today to talk about the Hunger Games and to talk about the burgeoning police state. You know, it's one thing, we talk about that all the time. We see it happening all over the country. It's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to understand it. It's another thing to experience it firsthand. And that's exactly what Alex and most of the INFOWARS crew did last week. I was watching it here live in the studio. It was pretty amazing. But even then, it's not the same as being in the middle of it, is it, Alex?
That's right, folks. And again, it is Tuesday, the 26th day of November, 2013. And as usual, wild horses cannot drag me away. I had more stuff I had to do today, but I am going to go home early today, and I've actually got my children up here with me today at the office. But we're getting, some other things finished, working on the Obama Deception 2, working on the nightly news, finishing up some work on the new studio. Really a busy operation here in the fight for liberty. But I thought, while I'm here, why not give folks my review of the Hunger Games? I know it's been out since last Friday, but I went and I saw it last night and have some reflections on that coming up in the next segment that I will then tie into some of the police state news just that we see locally here in Austin, Texas, and outside Austin, Texas, where, according to the cell phone video, a young man saw two girls fighting, so he was standing there, and then was walking away and had done nothing, and he wasn't a troubled student. He was a good student, and they tasered him in the back in Bastrop, a Mr. Rivera, 17-year-old young man, and he fell over, bashed up in his head, and is in a coma, and they believe he's going to die if they take him off life support. So I just wanted to point that out, that the police are militarized. They have been trained that we're the enemy. The conversion over to this system is almost complete, and we are living in the Hunger Games.
That's right.
And it really clicked when I saw the film that, my goodness, we're already living in this, and this is Agenda 21. This group of books and what is in the film is literally the neo-feudalist system where we're under serfdom in a post-industrial world, living at starvation levels with a ration card, and if we go above our calories, we're killed. Mm-hmm. That's literally the books. And then there's high-tech megacities with super advanced nanotech, you name it. That is actually in the plans going back to the 20s with Huxley and his brother and all of the top eugenicists. This is really their plan, and they're really deploying it. So I want to talk about that when we come back. Plus, we have a special new radio/TV intro. Darren McBreen is just an amazing editor and also a great reporter. And so I kind of quasi-directed this piece with him. And it's a nice little 3-minute intro that's only a small section of how serious the police state is. So if a police state came, would we notice it? Well, some of us have. And then we, of course, are the heretics. We're criticized. And in most authoritarian societies, they admit you're under an authoritarian society. It's just implicit. Here, it's this no man's land where those of us that are not completely brain dead know we're in deep trouble, but then the rest of the public are in denial. But that denial is rapidly boiling away, and so now they're taking the velvet glove off the iron fist. Also up on INFOWARS.com. For some reason, we didn't post it to the YouTube channel yesterday, but it was on prisonplanet.tv and premiered on the radio. We have the Vivian Kubrick impromptu on-the-street interview that Josh Owens did a great job putting together and editing. And we're going to have a more focused boil down to that coming up in the next few days in the nightly news.
Now you can watch the Alex Jones Show live as it happens at INFOWARS.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at INFOWARS.com/show.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and I'm here live in the studio with Alex Jones. That was an amazing new intro put together by the people that are working on the documentary. That's a sample of what's going to be coming up in this documentary. Darren McBreen and others put that together. That's a great segment, Alex.
Well, I wanted to actually, the last few weeks we've been working on some new intros, and that's just one of them for the radio/TV show and the nightly news, just to illustrate on different subjects, a small snippet of what we're really facing, what we're really dealing with. And I wanted to segue with that because I want to give folks my review of the Hunger Games and then tie it in to the things that are currently happening in our world today. And then I'm going to leave you at the end of this segment, and you've got a bunch of guests coming up and a ton of really important news. But I will be popping in tomorrow and then again on Friday with you. We're running a rebroadcast, obviously, on Thanksgiving on Thursday. And I think I'm going to go out Thursday night and Friday and cover, maybe with some live feeds. Maybe I'll go out and report for you from the street Friday with some live feeds of the Black Friday madness, because that's always a great illustration of the stampeding and rioting and things that happen. So we'll have that for folks on Friday into the weekend as well. But we're live. It is Tuesday, the 26th day of November, 2013. And I'm your host, and you're co-hosting with the hosts of INFOWARS Nightly News. And, of course, that is David Knight. Now, we just showed people a small cross-section of all over the country. The military is rolling out, preparing for war, not with Al-Qaeda, but with the Tea Party, with gun owners, with veterans, with Christians. They have the IRS. They have the other agencies persecuting them illegally. We have the president on at least 8 different fields, from war to energy to open borders to Obamacare. The list goes on, to federal appointments, operating completely outside of Congress and saying he doesn't need Congress. This has never happened, except under total martial law with Abraham Lincoln. This has never happened. And I have to say, that was on the war he acted dictatorial, not on all other issues. So Obama is officially, by every yardstick, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10 being a total maximum dictator, Adolf Hitler, Saddam Hussein, Obama is about a 7 now. And the persecution's going on, and the arms buildup is going on. And
well, he set up the entire infrastructure. I mean, just because he hasn't started shooting people in the streets or rounding them up and putting them in prison camps, it doesn't mean that, that's what you're talking about, the 7 on the scale of 1 to 10. He's set up the infrastructure for tyranny. And just as they had in this video, he started it and he ended it with a military-industrial complex speech by Eisenhower, because that's what's driving this. It's the accumulation of weaponry.
Absolutely. And directing that little intro, that's only a smidgen of the stuff I could have put in there. We could have an hour-long intro just showing more craziness on top of more insanity, because it's not crazy. It is the cold, calculated takeover of society. So what I'm explaining to people here is, in Nazi Germany, in the first decade of the Soviet Union, or the Bolshevik takeover before the formation of the Soviet Union, that's how it began, was bureaucratic persecution and tax persecution. That's how what Hitler did with the Jews and others was, messing with their businesses, not letting them operate, auditing them, sending CPS to take their kids. This is already going on. And the CPS manuals demonize homeschoolers. We would have ABC News and others come up, the Associated Press as well, and would say to our folks that were out there demonstrating in Dallas on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they'd say, "Are you a homeschooler? Do you own guns?" And these reporters, the ones that are left inside the system, were absolutely animated with demoniac glow. This one woman that was talking to Gucciardi, I walked over and she turned on me and was like smiling with hate. And I mean, these are actual operatives. Folks have to understand now, who's left in the system are either people that are total mercenaries and hate their job. And I talked to some of those, high level and mid-level and low level. I mean, Dallas Morning News writer came up in my hotel and she goes, "Oh, my dad's a huge listener. I want a photo for him. Yeah, I'm here to write this piece. It's so great what you're doing." And then the piece comes out and it's a negative hit piece. So that's the type of stuff that goes on, because they will not let it get out. The Dallas Morning News, by the way, is highly controlled. My mother worked there for many years. Oh, yeah. And I'm not going to get into that, but the whole point is I grew up. We can
see that from the story that they put out. I mean,
there's a bunch of them, and they were all literal, twisted fictions mixed in with some truths. Now, in the time we've got left here, I want to get into all this news and talk about the Hunger Games in context. I went to the Hunger Games last night with my wife, and the first one was pretty good. The second one had unbelievable cinematography. Just the scenes driving in the train, the scenes of the sports stadiums, the way they can I mean, this was delicious to the eye. This film was delicious to the eye. You've seen it as well on Friday. But looking at it, you see, this is all coming true. This is all happening. This is actually the Agenda 21 exact plan. This woman who wrote it is either a total patriot and aware of what's going on and super smart, or she's a total operative. And we tried to contact her many times. Obviously, she hasn't gotten back with us because publishers and folks don't let somebody that big usually do interviews. They try to tie them down. But who knows? You know, she might be a listener like Vivian Kubrick, and her interview is now up on INFOWARS.com for folks that want to see it from yesterday if you're a radio listener. But looking at this is the dream. This is the greatest approximation of the competing eugenicist, transhumanist programs that were launched in the 1850s, officially going into transhumanism and post-human model by the 1920s with this advanced breakaway technocracy above a feudal serf system with literal floating fortresses with peacekeepers coming down out of the sky. In fact, I read the book, Things to Come, and then he made it into a film. What was the name of the H.G. Wells film that came out in the 20s?
It was Things to Come.
That's right, Things to Come.
The book was, or the novel Shape of Things to Come.
Exactly, but in that, it's a UN world government bombing the old countries that don't want to be part of it. They end the family. UN peacekeepers come down out of giant, what looks like bat-wing fighters, B-2 bombers. And then I watch this, it's giant bat-wing B-2 bombers. I mean, literally, that's how smart the New World Order is. H.G. Wells wrote a book and made a film that even by today's standards is incredibly high quality. Yeah, there it is, Things to Come, that everybody should watch. It's free online on YouTube.
Yes.
In fact, one of our film contest entrants actually did one paralleling it to Agenda 21. That's why you watch this. This is a repeat of them shaping the mind, preparing everyone. Now, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and say, well, you know, Hunger Games catching fire, just like Bane wants you to have a revolution and says, fire goes up. It's the same thing. They're trying to invoke a false revolution in a dialectic, this is on record, of the pressure they've created. And here's Peter Sutherland. Here's Peter Sutherland in The Guardian last week. Donald Sutherland, I always say Peter Sutherland. Donald Sutherland saying, I want Hunger Games to stir up a revolution. But what revolution does he want? Against capitalism, he says in here, and that he's a left-wing socialist. Now, I like Donald Sutherland. I also like the late Peter Sutherland. But the point is that we're going to come back and I'm going to break this down. But the issue here is that they have created the crisis. This is socialism we're seeing with fascism on top. Now their answer will be more of this. And so they're saying they hope to cause a leftist revolution with this film and others. So that's why it looks like it's anti-establishment, because the establishment is so sophisticated they have to steal our energy.